Hey folks, this is Rainiac, bringing you week 2 of the SongsMadePeopleSexy.net forums Let's Play Springfest competition. And after a surprisingly successful week playing Super C, week 2 throws us a curveball in the shape of Dino Jr. in Kenyan Capers. Now I'm fairly certain that most of you just let out a collective, "What the hell is that game, Rainiac? We've never heard of Dino Jr. in Kenyan Capers before." Well, voice of the silent majority, you and me both. Up until the beginning of this week, I had no idea what this game was. I hadn't heard hide nor hair of either Kenyan Capers or indeed Dino Jr. But it turns out that this game holds a rather special place in our Lord and Master Zinatoto's heart, because it's the first game he ever played as a child. And this week's achievements reflect that fact. And they're fairly easy for the most part. 2 of them are gameplay related. For 2 points, you have to get to the second world of the game, that's the undersea world. For 3 points, you have to collect every single item in one of the bonus levels before time runs out. The really interesting achievement this week is the third and final one, worth a whopping 5 points. You have to talk a little bit about the first game you ever played as a child. We'll get to that achievement in due course. First, let's talk about the gameplay here. As the title of the game suggests, you're playing as Dino Jr., who is this pudgy little chibi kid with the worst haircut I've ever seen, jaundiced yellow skin, wearing blue armour, and for some reason a boat that looks far too big for him. Now Dino Jr. is rather limited in what he can do in this game. He can move with the left and right buttons, and you can make him jump with the space key. And that's about it. You can also pause the game with P, but that's not important. Now, your objective in this game is to collect all the items, mostly gems, that are laying around in each of the levels. Once you collect all of the items in the stage, as you see here, the level is complete and you can move on to the next one. Unfortunately, Dino Jr. must overcome many obstacles and enemies in his quest to steal the gems that are lying around on the floor. Sorry, did I say steal? I meant claim, because he's a hero, and heroes don't steal, and winners don't do drugs. And if you believe that, you'll believe anything. These enemies range from the standard, such as these snakes that are slithering around the ground here, to the downright ridiculous, such as the hopping guys that were at the bottom of the screen earlier, and these three-eyed things, I have got absolutely no clue what they're supposed to be. We also have obstacles that are not enemies, such as this giant spike ball that's flying around this set of platforms, and this thing is deadly. It can't kill you in one hit, but every time it strikes you, it will take off a decent amount of health. You have 3 hearts, as you can see in the top left-hand corner of the screen here, and they're both your health and your lives. Once you completely deplete a heart, you'll lose one of your lives, then you'll get right back up and continue the game. Once you've lost all 3 lives, you have to use one of your 3 continues, and once you've used all your continues, that's it, game over. And also, I managed to outrun that spike ball by the narrowest of margins. Now fortunately, there are a couple of items that you can pick up in your quest to grab all these gems to make the task a little bit easier for yourself. If you find a red heart, you might think that it gives you a life refill. However, for some reason, it's actually even more useful than that. It gives you a few seconds of much needed invincibility. And Dino Jr., as you see here, will be surrounded by 3 rotating stars, and you can plow right through obstacles and enemies. You won't kill them, but you won't take any damage from them either. Pick up a golden idol, and you'll be surrounded by 2 green rotating stars, and as far as I can tell, it's exactly the same as the invincibility, apart from the colour of the stars, and perhaps the time frame in which it lasts is a little bit shorter. This is a fairly simple game that came out for the DOS in 1992, created by Villa Crespo, who have since fallen into the category of long-forgotten video game designers. I honestly, to my knowledge, can't remember of another game that this company did. But another interesting thing about this, you may never have heard of Kenyan Capers, but you might possibly have seen footage of this game before. And that's kind of a misnomer, because as far as I know, the footage that's being produced for this week of the contest is actually the first footage ever to go up on YouTube to feature this game. And now we come to one of the several bonus levels that you can find in this game. You get to a bonus level after every 5 levels. There are several worlds in the game, consisting of 5 levels each, and at the end of every world there's a bonus level. And as I said, there is a nice achievement for beating this. Collect everything in one of the bonus levels and you get yourself a nice 5-point bonus. Now, even though I messed up a couple of simple jumps here, I did it with relative ease. The first 2 bonus levels are not that difficult at all to collect everything. The third one, which we don't actually see on camera, so just, slight spoiler warning there, was a real pain in the BTM. In fact, I couldn't complete it because there was a jump. Obviously, I'm guessing you can complete it, but there was a jump I just couldn't complete. I tried and I tried and I tried, but I just couldn't do it. And there you are. The screen is littered with 500-point bonuses, and we collected our first and second achievements. Because now we're under the sea in World 2, under SeaWorld, or possibly just SeaWorld. Not to be confused with the SeaWorld in Florida. Now this is where the game kind of gets a little trickier. Mostly due to the added hazards in this world. We have very angry red fish, I'm assuming they're supposed to be piranha fish. We have these arrow fish that seem to be haunting my every move. And perhaps the worst hazard of all, these bubbles come up from the floor, and yes, they can damage you. And as far as I know, they are completely random as to where they pop up on the screen, and you have very little time to react to them and get out of the way. We also have more standard enemies such as these spinning shells, which kind of remind me of the yellow Koopa shells from Super Mario World. Although I think this game may have come out either just before or just around the same time as Super Mario World, and that's the testament to the deadly power of the bubbles. First death of the game, but fortunately, after falling down on his feet like that, Danny Jr. just gets up, complete no-cells death itself, and you continue the game. As I say, once you lose your third life, then you have to continue. And if you continue, you have to start from the beginning of the stage again. But as I said, this is not really a hard game. Now, interesting thing about this level, we have another new enemy, which kind of looks exactly the same as one of the old enemies we've already encountered. And it's this happy little red fish. Now, perhaps I'm just too used to trying to spot in-jokes and references in video games, but the first time I saw that fish pop up on the screen, I honestly believed that it was Dopefish. Now, for those of you that don't know of the legend that is the Dopefish, let me explain. The Dopefish was a character that first made an appearance in the DOS game Commander Keen 4 Secret of the Oracle in the level Well of Wishes. You had to outrun it to avoid it eating you. And its only thought process, it's a really, really stupid fish, okay, because its only thought process is swim, swim, hungry, swim, swim, hungry. However, since then, the Dopefish has gone to become one of the more legendary in-jokes of the video game world. And it's made an appearance from old games to more modern games such as Quake 2, where it appears disemboweled on a hook, and even made an appearance, believe it or not, in Hitman 2, and as recently as in Deus Ex Human Revolution. The Dopefish also made an appearance in the PC fighting game engine Mugen as a now infamous custom character that one of the Mugen community created. Basically, the Dopefish was one of those one-move gimmick characters, but its one move in this case was damn effective because it swallowed its opponent whole, which had the added benefit of being an insta-kill, so it wasn't very fun to use as a playable character, but when given AI, it was a heck of a challenge when playing against it as a single player. And now to rip off comedian Tim Vine, it's time for the big highlight of the show. That is, time for me to earn 5 easy achievement points by telling you all a little bit about the first game I ever played as a child. And the answer may surprise you. It happened in either 1993 or 1994, I can't remember the exact year, but it was during a trip to the local bowling alley, which was like 5 minutes or so away from my house, to celebrate a friend's birthday. And in that bowling alley was an arcade machine, and that was the first video game I can ever remember myself playing. And the game in question was The Simpsons Arcade. And for those that are wondering, because I was like only 6 or 7 at the time, I didn't do very well. I think we got to like level 2 before me and my 3 friends ran out of, I can't call them quarters, because we don't call them that over here, ran out of credits. The first game I ever owned, well, it will come as no surprise to those that know me, because I'm a huge fan of this game and its series, it was Donkey Kong Country, the original game. I received it for my 7th birthday back in 1995, And simply put, that game had a huge influence on my tastes as a video gamer. People that know me will know that I tend to favour action platformers, did as a child and still do to this day. Both old school platformers from old school consoles and some of the more sort of fan games that have come out that are also action platformers. Going back to the gameplay, you might notice at certain times in this recording there are times when I perform a series of jumps in succession, and that's done by holding down the space key. This is a rather nifty feature of this game. If you hold down the space key, you will repeatedly jump until you let go. And that multiple jump technique is very useful, for example, in this bonus level, where as you'll see, there's a lot of nicely lined up platforms in a row here, and if you just keep pressing the jump button, you will keep jumping up and you'll complete the level with ease. Funnily enough, despite the fact this is the second bonus level, I actually found this easier to complete than the first. And I actually completed this, again, spoiler alert, in a quicker time than I did the first one. Although I did, again, fail a couple of simple jumps, so it could have been even quicker. But then again, these bonus levels are not meant to be challenging. As I said, the third bonus level, which you're not going to see, is very, very difficult and I couldn't complete it. But the first two, not hard in the slightest. So we're now entering the third world, which the game calls Kenyan World, and the difficulty ramps up a little bit once more. But it's still nothing too difficult. This game, from what I've played of it, is really rather easy. And as far as I can tell, it's rather easy by design. It's just meant to be a fun little game that you can pick up and play for around 20-30 minutes. I haven't played to the end of the game. I've gotten as far as the fourth world, the Sky World. But from what I know, this game has roughly 6, maybe 7 worlds, and takes roughly 28 hours for a competent gamer to complete. And that really is kind of the problem with this game. There really isn't a right lot you can say about it, because it has no instruction manual, being a DOS game, and as far as I know, there's no plot other than what you see on the screen right now. Fat kid runs and jumps across platforms to collect gems and items. However, you may possibly have seen footage of this game, or at least of a very similar game, before. I mentioned that there'd been no footage of this game on YouTube before, but there was another game that is very similar to this one. Much in the same way that Doki Doki Panic became Super Mario Bros. 2, this game was actually adapted, as far as I know, for another game. In 1993, Huckleberry Hound in Hollywood Capers was released, and although some of the enemies were changed and some of the platform layouts were different, as far as I know, it's pretty much the same game as this, just with a different hero, enemies and platform layout. And to be honest, although we could have been playing Hollywood Capers, I'm kind of glad that Zenny chose this one, because it's a bit more obscure than Hollywood Capers. Well, Hollywood Capers isn't exactly, you know, mainstream gaming in itself. And secondly, who wants to play as Huckleberry Hound? Of all the Hanna-Barbera cartoons they could have picked, they picked Huckleberry freaking Hound? Now, had it been Snagglepuss, or Quick Draw McGraw, or hell, even Top Cat, I would have played that game like a shot. But Huckleberry Hound, Hanna-Barbera, I am disappointed. Now, you'll notice that in some levels, such as this one, the gems are laid out in such a way that some of them are in the middle of the stage, some of them are on the left, and some of them are on the right. Now, it's more noticeable in the earlier levels, but if you use some smart strategy, you can actually collect all the gems on one side of the level, then grab the inevitable invincibility power-up at the top, and use that brief time to collect all the power-ups on the right side of the level. And now we're into World 3-3, and our next bit has us introduced in boulders, and much like the spike balls, these things really, really hurt if they hit you. I should also mention quickly that Dino Jr. here can actually take full damage. I've actually shown it off in the video a couple of times, but forgot to mention it when it actually happened in the video, so yeah, he can take full damage. And you're just about to witness the first game over of the game, with roughly 30 seconds to go. As I say, if you continue, you just start at the beginning of the level again and your score resets itself to 0. But yeah, this is not a hard game, it's really enjoyable, and I'm really glad that Zenny picked this one over Hollywood Capers, because this is exactly why I entered this LP contest in the first place. To play some new games that I'd never played before, that were interesting and or fun. and this is a lot of fun. So anyway, my 15 minutes is just about up. Join me next week for hopefully another game which I've never played before. And as our intrepid heroes comes to yet another cardiac arrest, this is Rainiac, signing off.